Chapter 8. His Bride. By the time she was 40, she was married and divorced 4 times. Every time she became engaged, she flashed her new diamond ring, as if to say, "See how much I am loved?" Each time she got a man to put a ring on her finger and agree to commit his life to her forever, she felt validated and loved. Unfortunately, because she never learned what love looked like as a child, she married men who beat her regularly. After all, she was abused by men as a child, even by the ones who were supposed to love her. Then there's the little girl whose parents were addicted to crack and left her to care for her own needs. She grew up dreaming of the day when she would meet a man who would take her into his arms and profess his undying love for her. When she was all grown up, she became engaged and spent a year planning for an elaborate wedding. She spent thousands of dollars working 2 jobs to have the best of everything. It was as if she was trying to prove to the world and herself that she is lovable, valuable, and beautiful. The truth was that deep down she felt the opposite. Unfortunately, the man who spoke the words that she dreamed of hearing didn't know how to prove his love through his actions. Within the first year of their marriage, he cheated on her with 2 other women. She had also learned that he cheated on her with a 3rd woman prior to their wedding. There is a similar story in the Bible which tells of the Samaritan woman. We are told that she married 5 times. I believe that she received validation that she was loved each time she heard the words, "I do." But within a very short time, the feelings would wear off and she would seek to be validated yet again in the arms of another man. When she met Jesus at the well in Samaria, she accepted his offer to drink of his life-giving water, and at last her insatiable desire for love was quenched. When we were created by God, he placed an empty well inside of us that could only be filled with his love. No one and nothing can ever fill that empty place. Many of us live for decades trying to fill the empty well within with the love of people or of things. For the first half of my life, I tried filling my well with drugs and alcohol, money, pretty things, popularity, and countless men. I too longed to hear those words, "I love you," and "You are beautiful," from earthly men, so as to validate my self-worth. None was able to satisfy me until I met Jesus, the lover of my soul. When I opened my heart to the King of Love, I was swept off my feet. I would go anywhere and do anything for the one who made me feel loved like no other. This type of love affair, Jesus' love for us and our love for him, is described in the Bible in the Song of Solomon. In this book, I learn of his love for me, and I hear him tell me the things that I longed to hear my whole life. "Ah, you are beautiful, my beloved. Arise, my beloved, my beautiful one, and come." And then I read the words that are found in my heart for him. "My lover belongs to me, and I to him." I took hold of him and would not let him go. The analogy in this book of King Solomon and a Shulamite woman depicts love in the context of courtship, a wedding, and marriage. The Bible is full of analogies which represent Jesus as a bridegroom who eagerly awaits his bride at the wedding banquet. We, the church, are the bride that our beloved Jesus longs for. Jesus himself told a parable about a wedding banquet. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son." God the Father is preparing the church, the bride, to marry his son, the bridegroom. If we want to live happily ever after, feasting on the finest things, then we need to prepare ourselves for the bridegroom and for the wedding celebration. What does a bride do to prepare for her wedding? A wedding is a celebration of love, so first and foremost, the bride's heart needs to be filled with love for the groom, and it also needs to be fully open to receive his love. She must be prepared to devote her heart to him and him alone, not putting any other loves before him. On the morning of her wedding day, she prepares herself. She goes through great efforts to present herself as beautifully as possible. She prepares to clothe herself with the white gown that represents her purity. She makes certain that she is clean and smelling lovely before she dresses herself. She looks the gown over first because she wants it to be spotless and without any wrinkles. If there is the slightest blemish, she is quick to apply a cleansing solvent to be rid of it. She wants it to be perfect. Similarly, as Christians, the bride of Christ, we need to prepare ourselves to meet Jesus, the bridegroom, by making sure we are pure and spotless. Of course, we will never be perfect while living on this earth, but we can attain toward it. Just as the bride is quick to remove any spot or blemish from her white gown, we too must be quick to cleanse our souls by repenting when we have sinned. It is because of the love of the bridegroom, his death for us on the cross, that we can be made pure and spotless. Paul states in the book of Ephesians, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her to make her holy and to present her to himself without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish." A month ago, God gave me a dream in which I was at a wedding banquet. I later realized that it was the wedding banquet. I saw my girlfriend of 30 years come to sit at the banquet table. I had led her to the Lord only a year before. My first thought was how beautiful she looked, dressed in a white wedding gown with pastel flowers stitched into the bodice. I then looked to my left and saw my friend who was like a brother to me. I had prayed with him only months before for the healing of a torn aorta in his heart. God gave him a miracle by keeping him from death. He appeared in my dream to be very refined, dressed in his wedding attire of a suit and bow tie. As I continued to walk around the banquet, I came upon others whom I knew, prayed for, and ministered to in the natural. My eyes fell upon a woman whom I had been ministering to as of late. This former drug addict and prostitute was radiant in her wedding gown, also with flowers in the bodice, but of different colors than the first. My dream ended without ever seeing the bridegroom. It was as if we were all waiting for him to arrive. All of the people that I saw in my dream were still alive and had received salvation through Jesus Christ. It was his blood that was poured out on the cross that took the sins of each one, including the prostitute. Would some have been surprised to see a prostitute at the banquet and wearing a white dress, symbolizing purity? God has me ministering to many like her, and as I do, he reveals to me how he sees them, as beautiful brides dressed in white. Once these women said yes to Jesus. They were washed in the Savior's blood. Their sins were forgiven and forgotten. To him, They are his brides, and he says to them, "Arise, my beloved, my beautiful one, and come with me."